สวัสดีครับสวัสดีพี่น้องชาวกีตาร์ไทยนะครับวันนี้ผมอยู่ในบรรยากาศของงาน Taylor Road Shows นะครับที่ทาง Taylor เนี่ยจะมาเยี่ยมเยียนนะครับต่างตัวแทนจำหน่ายในประเทศแล้วก็ได้พบปะกับมือกีตาร์หรือศิลปินหรือจะเป็นประชาชนคนทั่วไปที่ใช้กีตาร์ Taylor นะครับบรรยากาศก็คนมามากมายพิเศษกว่านั้นในบรรยากาศก็คือผมมีโอกาสสัมภาษณ์คุณแอนดี้ลุนนะครับคุณแอนดี้ลุนเนี่ยเป็นInternational Sales Manager ในเขต Asian Pacific อันนี้นะครับเราจะมาสอบถามเกี่ยวกับเรื่องทุกเรื่องก็ว่าได้นะครับเกี่ยวกับกีตาร์ Taylor Hello Andy
Hello
It's good to see you
Nice to be back again
Yeah.
in Bangkok
This is the second time right
This is the third time
I've
been to Bangkok this is the second road show
The second road show
the third time that I've done this visit
Okay because last year I remember
Yeah
You talk about the tone woods all the tone woods right
Yep we the roadshow is a concept that we've been using in the United States for about 6 years now, but we're also starting to take it to other parts of the world. And the interesting thing about it is that even people who have heard the show 4 or 5 times already still like to come back again. And it's kind of the same information, but it's presented by different people and it has different features, different guitars. So it's always a really good learning experience for people.
I want to start first question. What tells you that the woods that you acquire from your suppliers are good enough for Taylor guitars?
In our case, history.
History.
Because this is our 40th anniversary.
Yes.
So we have 40 years of learning how to select woods from suppliers. We have a lot of relationships that have been in place for a long time. We've bought the same Indian rosewood from a family for years. There's a woman who supplies cocobolo to us in Mexico. So they're long-term customers.
It doesn't have to be like
chain.
It doesn't have to be like a big winners, right?
No, it doesn't. And we've also, because of 40 years, we've also figured out how to acclimate the wood. In other words, how to make sure that when you start to build the guitar, it's ready to be turned into a guitar, which that's a whole science in itself. Because different woods take different times to cure. And one of the things that I'm actually really proud of with our company in particular is that during those 40 years, we've become more ethically centered, I would say, at procuring the wood. So in other words, the wood is harvested legally without any bribes. People are paid decent wages to get them out of the jungle. And many of the places we get wood from is third world countries. You know, if you think what we think about a road is, well, their jungle roads are paths essentially, and you go way back into the mountains, cut a tree down, bring it out. It's a lot of hard work. So, Bob Taylor has really worked hard on making sure that whole supply chain is above board and legal, and that people are getting paid for their work. Okay, which hasn't always been the case in the past.
Because I've seen in the YouTube, you go right in the woods.
Yeah.
To choose the spruce.
Yeah.
Right. We use the helicopter, bring it back out.
Right? It's very remote areas, and it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Do you have any plan to offer any new species? Let's say, I went to your website. This is called Blackheart.
Blackheart.
What? Blackheart sassafras.
Sassafras.
Blackwood.
Yeah, sure.
Granadillo. Yeah.
Those are all tone woods that have been used through the years on different instruments. Actually, Granadillo is used to make the tone bars on a marimba.
Oh, right.
So we're familiar with all kinds of different woods, and this year we did some limiteds. We did the sassafras and also the Australian blackwood. And many times we don't have enough of those sets of wood to build large runs. So we do limited editions, and this year the sassafras was a very, very small amount. I'm not sure the exact number, but I'm going to say it's less than 500 for the whole world.
It's rare to find.
Yeah, it's just hard, and yeah, it's rare to find, and not every sassafras tree is a guitar tree.
Oh, okay.
You have to the people who source the wood have to know that one is actually going to work for a guitar, or maybe it's furniture.
So, and what is the sonic property? A sassafras? More to like mahogany or?
It's kind of closer to mahogany. Yeah, I would say closer to mahogany and a maple combination.
That's good. I will talk about the bracing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of bracing pattern that Taylor have been using? I mean.
Well, if you go back over the history of the company, you'll see many different bracing patterns. And
you have 4, right? 4 major.
We have
patterns.
we have forward shifted 2. We have CV bracing. We have just traditional X bracing, and it's actually more than 4 now because part of the redesign this year of the 800 series has a whole new category. So actually, the way I would answer your question, I think, is that as a manufacturer, we are a company who is very modern. We're not afraid to change things. And anybody who's followed us at all through the years knows that you can expect change, and you'll expect more change in the future. It's kind of a nice spot for us to be in because there are certain manufacturers who are really based steeply in their history, and those models are so iconic that you can't really
change.
People don't want to change it. They know what it is.
Yeah.
They're great guitars. That's exactly what it needs to stay at. Where that's never been the case for us, and that's evidenced in the fact of this year taking our most iconic guitar, which is the 814 CE, and completely redesigning it.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about that
Sure.
later. Okay, and do you plan to like offer the customers like a real custom guitar?
Yeah, we have a custom program that's always in operation. It's essentially an Excel program that you start at the very beginning, and you just decide, is it a 6-string? Is it a 12-string?
Nylon?
Is it nylon? Is it steel string? Is it a T5? And then you just move down the line from there. You can pick your tone woods. You can pick bracing patterns. You can pick colors, shapes, cutaways, special inlay if you want it, or any existing inlay pattern that we offer. It's a pretty complex program, and one of the strong points about it is that it's actually pretty quick compared and based on what you're getting. I mean, you're getting a custom guitar that we can usually deliver within about 8 weeks of the day we receive the order. Now, coming over to Thailand is going to take a little bit longer because there's shipping and there's freight and customs involved and all that. But
Big states.
But the basic lead time for us from the day that we get a signed off custom order sheet to the day we ship it is about 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Which is pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it's different from the Builder Reserve, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be totally different.
Yeah. Builder's Reserve is a program that is not currently active right now, and it might come back again at some point. It's another thing. It's one of the examples of change, and we at the time that Builder's Reserve first came out was also the time when we started the custom guitar program. And the custom guitar program has been the response has been so phenomenal. People love it. The guitars are beautiful. They're fast. They're one of a kinds. It's like that is kind of a Builder's Reserve, So that particular brand of marketing that we use for that it might come back again someday. You never know, but we've decided to focus more energy just into the custom program.
Okay, let's say I'm one of your customers.
Yeah.
And I have my Taylor guitar. How can I take care of it? The humidity, the temperature.
That's a really good question. We have. I wish I could get that little humi gauge over there. But the best way to take care of your guitar.
A small device, right?
Yeah, there's a small device. It's called a hydrometer, and it gives you a digital readout of the humidity in a room or in your guitar case. And here, where you guys live in Bangkok, extremely humid conditions.
It's about like 80.
It's tough. I know. It's
in the south. It's about 80.
Yeah, 80. 80 is too much for a guitar. A guitar is comfortable between 45% and 55% humidity level. Now, the only way you're going to be able to keep your guitar at 45 to 55% is if you use products to dehumidify the guitar and the case. So There are products that are available in music stores. We went to
No, you can go get it at the grocery stores too,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Silica gel.
well, there was. We went to your equivalent of Home Depot. It's like a building store.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
We went to one of those 2 days ago just to see what was available, and we found these little packages that absorb moisture. So you put maybe 1 or 2 of those in your guitar case with a little digital hydrometer. Close the case, and then you just gotta learn. You gotta pay attention to what's happening. A really good lesson is to just go buy the little digital hydrometers, and they're cheap. They're not very expensive, but they're digital, so they give you a good readout. Get one, put it in your guitar case, and close the case for a couple hours.
Couple hours?
A couple hours.
That works.
Yeah, and no. That's just to get the reading.
Okay.
Okay. So open up the case and you go, ooh, 65
This
or
is
80
high.
or
Yeah.
whatever, too high.
Yeah.
So now you know that you've got to put something else in the case to suck the moisture out of it.
Yeah.
Because the guitar absorbs moisture and so does the case. So if you go to like you said, to one of these hardware stores, or you buy a little device that absorbs moisture, you put that in the case, keep it closed, and then see how it looks in 24 hours later. See what the gauge says.
Just leave it in.
Just
for
leave
like,
it in. Just leave it in
yeah,
there.
a day, 1 day.
Well,
Yeah.
No, you leave it in. One day you're going to check it.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 hours you're going
Okay.
to look at it again.
Okay.
It might not change.
Okay.
It might take 2 weeks.
Okay. 2 weeks.
It might, because it's hard to get moisture out of a guitar. But if it's not moving, if it's not going down, put in more of those packages. So
Until it drops.
until it starts to drop.
Yeah.
And when you get it down to 55, your guitar is going to be happier, and it'll sound better too because it won't be waterlogged.
Yeah.
So it's really a 2-step process. It's the hydrometer and then the devices to absorb moisture. If you don't have the hydrometer, you're guessing.
Yeah, right.
You're guessing.
And you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, right. Can you tell me briefly how to make a guitar? Just briefly.
Just briefly, huh?
How Taylor make a guitar?
We have, over the years, Bob has developed a system that uses human hands when they're the best for the job, and we use machines when they're the best for the job. Examples of that are that we use lasers to cut the tops, so
and
they're
the back
always
too,
the
right?
same exact size. Yeah, always the same size. Lasers are always very accurate. We use hands to install the purfling and the binding, tape it off. We use hands to spray paint, finish and sunburst finishes, and we use combinations of both to apply bracing and to put backs to tops, and so it's a pretty long process. That's always, again, another thing that's always evolving too. Because sometimes I'll go away on a trip for 2 months and come back and take a tour, and I'll be like, what's that? I've never seen that machine before.
That's the most advanced technique of building, right? Use a laser to cut the top and the back, also the sides.
Yeah.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
CNC to carve the neck.
CNC to carve the neck. There's lots of, and that's why that's one of the things that people really love about our guitars is the consistency.
Yeah.
You know, the necks all feel the same. You know, the bracing is applied the same way every day. The neck is made the same way, and so it's a science that's pretty special. Actually, the factory tour is pretty fun.
And you know, I just noticed that you are now coming up with the ES2,
Yeah.
the expression system 2,
Yeah.
right? Mine, I have the ES1.
Right.
What's the difference?
Lots of differences. Another example of change. The expression system that you have in your guitar was an invention that's about 10 or 12
More
years
than
old
10
now.
years.
Yeah, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And it was a system that we really liked because it was really natural sounding. The sound of the expression system did not color the guitar, and so that's why it was invented. It also eliminated balance problems with the pickup. With old like piezo-based systems, sometimes it's hard to get a balance between
Each
string to
right?
string,
Yeah.
and the expression system solved that. The new expression system 2 is a completely new design from the same person essentially, Mr. Hostler, who works at Taylor Guitars. But you know, he's one of those guys who's always thinking about new ideas, and he built the first one. People love it, but he's the kind of guy who's just like, I wonder if if I did this, And so the new system is completely different. It's based on pressure, but it's based on pressure that is applied to the back side of the saddle rather than underneath it, which is a common way of using an under saddle pickup. So the original expression system is all magnetic, essentially, and it works with the body sensor. And the new one does not have the body sensors in it, but the new one has 3 sensors that are right in back of the saddle. And the idea is that in that location, the amount of pressure that the sensor puts on the bridge is very minimal compared to if you place it underneath the strings. Because when you put a under the saddle pickup in a guitar, when you string it up to pitch, you got about 25 pounds of pressure.
Yeah, right.
So that pickup is what we call preloaded. It's already squished. But on this one, it actually can breathe a little bit. And we've learned that the saddle actually moves forward and backward when you strum the guitar. And so it actually moves with it. And it's not preloaded. And it has a very smooth sound. And here's you can kind of see what the pickup looks like with the 3 little contacts.
Oh.
So that's those 3 little contacts, these little arms here. You can adjust with the screwdriver, but they sit against the saddle instead of underneath it.
Okay.
So it's a whole new sound, whole new preamp, no body sensors, and we like it a lot.
So you started to put it from the model 2014, right?
Yeah, this year is our
Onwards.
first. This year we have it in the glossy guitars. In other words, the 500 series and higher get Expression System 2, and the Expression System 1 is still in the 300 and 400 series, and now we've actually added it to a couple of new models, the 150E, which is the low cost 12-string guitar, and also the 214 CE Deluxe has the original Expression System.
That's nice.
So now we have 2.
Okay. I want to talk about the Adirondack. You never use it, right? Taylor never used Adirondack
not
top?
true. We do use it.
We use
Yes.
use it?
It's part of the custom guitar program.
Okay.
Adirondack,
It's upon request.
upon request.
Yeah.
Yes. Adirondack is a pretty rare tone wood. And we don't usually ever use it as a standard model. We use Sitka spruce. We do have Adirondack, and we use it on custom guitars only at this time.
Okay. Now we talk about the modified, the new 800 series.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this year is Taylor Guitar's 40th anniversary, and just 3 years ago, I want to say, Bob Taylor hired a young man to be his successor. He hired Andy Powers to be master luthier at Taylor Guitars, and so one of the jobs that Andy was given from Bob was, hey, it's our 40th anniversary. Take our 800 series and make them better. Which is kind of funny to say because they were already awesome. They were already great.
Right.
But he's a younger guy, but he has the knowledge and the wisdom of an old man in a good way. And so what he decided to do with the 800 series this year is treat each shape differently from one another. We make 5 different body shapes.
Okay.
And what he decided to do was try to figure out how do I get the most sound out of each one of those shapes.
Get the best out of it. Yeah, get the best out of each model, right?
Right, because the different shapes have different needs. The Grand Concert's a very small guitar. The Grand Orchestra is a big guitar. So what he wanted to do was take each one of those shapes and figure out how to make it the best it can be. And he ended up making a number of very small changes that add up to a big change in sound. And the changes include shape optimized bracing. So in other words, the bracing, this is why I answered your question that way earlier in the discussion. The bracing for each one of those guitars is different. Even though they're all 800 series, the back bracing is different on a GC than on a Geo. He also chose to use older methods of construction on the 800 series, which include the use of hide glue or animal glue.
cowhide.
Animal glue.
Yeah, it's cowhide.
So fish glue
Fish glue. Oh,
and cow glue
yeah.
in spots on the guitar where there's transfer of tone. So now there's hide glue between the bridge and the top, between the braces and the top, between the back braces and the back. Any place where there's the bridge plate, any places where there's transfer of sound, he chose to use the hide glue on the 800 series. And another small change was that the finish on these 800s is thinner than it used to be. It's about half as thick as the regular glossy guitars. So that's one other change. And then we also worked in conjunction with Elixir Strings to come up with a new string gauge.
Custom made for.
Yeah, they're called HD lights, and we use those on the GC and on the GA guitar. And it's a hybrid between a medium gauge set and a light gauge set. It has the 3 bass strings, same gauges as a light gauge set, and then it has the top 2 strings, the E and the B, are the same gauge from a medium set, and then the middle G string is a hybrid that we haven't seen before. So it's
one between.
Yeah, it's one between.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that was Andy's idea. He worked with Elixir to try and get those that string gauge developed, and then of course we've got the Expression System 2 pickup in the guitar as well. So all those little changes add up to quite a change in the tone of the 800 series. And the last change that I failed to mention was that the thicknesses of the woods are different for each shape as well. So the bracing,
the top,
yeah,
the bottom,
top, back, and sides.
oh, back and sides.
Yeah. In general, the bigger guitars are a little bit thicker. So the GC is a really thin guitar, and then the wood's thinned out more than it is on the bigger guitars.
That yields the resonance.
Yeah. Well, all of those things work together to get the guitar to sound the way it does.
You just said that you used the UV lacquer, right?
UV finish, yes.
Right. You're not using nitrocellulose.
No, we haven't for 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
So what's the point that you just using the UV cure lacquer?
The point is that it's much better for the environment. And we have figured out a way to cure the finish on our guitars almost instantly. The UV finish is cured in an oven, an ultraviolet oven, like a tanning bed. So the spray gets put on the guitar, goes into the oven, and it gets 3 very short blasts of ultraviolet light, and then it's done curing.
Oh,
And nitro
take months, right?
months, especially in an environment like that. So we try to figure out how we can build. We're making about 600 guitars a day in our 2 factories, and if we had to wait weeks or months for lacquer to dry,
it's faster in production process, right?
Way faster.
Yeah, way faster.
Way faster. And another one of the advantages of UV is that it doesn't check. If you've seen older vintage nitro guitars, little tiny cracks, and it doesn't yellow, and it doesn't check, and it's really easy to repair.
Oh.
For somebody who knows how to do a spot finish on a UV finish guitar, it's very, very easy to make the finish blend together. Nitro is a little bit harder to work with, but a lot of it is environment too. Like being based in Southern California, we couldn't spray 500 guitars a day using lacquer because most of it goes up into the environment.
Okay. The last question, why Taylor?
For a lot of the things I just said. What I always tell people is that what I really like about it is the forward-thinking part of what we do. There are lots of great guitar brands out there, and everybody should try all the guitars that are out there. That's all. We all have different ears, and we all like guitars so much that it's fine to have more than one brand. But I think that what you get with Taylor is you get a guitar that's extremely consistent, extremely reliable, and extremely easy to repair. we didn't even talk about the NT neck, but the NT neck is a whole.
It's a bolt-on.
It's a bolt-on, completely adjustable neck that ensures that your guitar can play in 20 years. Your guitar can be adjusted so that it plays just like any guitar on the stage or any guitar the day you bought it. And that's a huge advantage for people to know because guitars need service over time, and it's really easy to work on our guitars. They sound great, they play great, they look great. We got some really great people who are building them. Everybody there loves their job and loves making guitars, and it's all ethically done. So those, for me, those are enough reasons right there.
Okay, Andy, thank you very much for your time. I
Very
appreciate
welcome,
it.
man. Look forward to seeing you next year.
See you next year. โอเคครับ เราก็จบการสัมภาษณ์กับคุณแอนดี้ลุนนะครับ ก็ได้ประโยชน์มาก ๆ นะครับ ใครที่สนใจนะครับเทเลอร์กีตาร์นะครับทุกสาขาที่ Music Collection นะครับจนกว่าเราจะเจอกันเทปหน้า ดูซิว่าเราจะมาสัมภาษณ์ใคร วันนี้ผมออสนะครับ ลาไปเท่านี้ครับ สวัสดีครับ